I'm not gonna lie. I feel like a lot of the older generation saying the younger generation is soft is a cop out, because one thing I realize about strong people, strong individuals, is that they have multiple levels. Right? They're very complex. Right? It's easy to just thug it out and suppress your emotions and just cut everything off and just do what you got to do, stay in a straight line or whatever the case may be. It's hard to know be emotionally intelligent. It's hard to be emotionally intelligent. It's hard to know when to be strong, when to be empathetic, when to be half and half. You feel what I'm saying? That's hard. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's it's like anything. It's like if you have one bottle of water, right? And you gotta pour that bottle of water into the sink. Oh yeah, that's easy. You feel me? That's easy. But if you got a bottle of water, some oil, and then you also got some beans, and you got to make sure they all go down the drain. It's gonna be all over the place because the water not gonna mix with the oil, and they got the beans going in the middle. You feel what I'm saying? In order to get it down that tunnel, you really gotta be strategic. You really gotta know when to use the beans. You really gotta know when to pour the oil. You can't pour the oil right after the water because it's gonna mix together and create these clumps. You feel what I'm saying? So the one thing I notice about strong people is that they know when to apply the right things in the right moment. You feel me? Because strong people and people that are considered not weak in actuality, not in the mindset of the older generation. The older generation likes to say everybody's soft and everybody weak. But the crazy part is there's so much nuance to it. You feel what I'm saying? So much nuance to it because you got the older generation. Some of them were emotionally intelligent as they could be for that time because it was a different time. They grew up in an era where emotional intelligence wasn't a thing, where you cut off from your emotions, where you do what you got to do. They love to say that. So it's a different time. So there were an element of them that was locked into what they needed to be for that time, which was considered healthy. Now we on a different vibe. So they can't throw rocks at us because now we got more information. Now we're more self-aware. Now we understand that emotional intelligence should apply to whatever it is, masculinity or the divine feminine, whatever the case may be. It should apply to our beings in general, and it doesn't make you weak to tap into your emotions, or it doesn't make you weak to understand a person or to care about a person. You got to know when to be hard, no diddy, and you also got to know when to be caring and empathetic, and that makes a strong person. You feel me? So it's easy for the older generation to be like, y'all weak, y'all, you know what I'm saying? Because they are applying their old ways and their old mindset to what they consider now. I mean, what they would consider back then to be weak to now what we perceive it to be. We got to move forward. You feel what I'm saying? We got to be able to accept, okay, like that's like saying, that's like them saying computers nowadays are slow. You make no sense. Because now we got regular computers, tablets, iPods, iPhones. We got we don't have dial up no more. You feel what I'm saying? So it don't make no sense. So when they say the younger generation is soft, there's so much nuance to that. I get it in certain instances. They saying that they're soft in a sense of a lot of younger people are crash outs, or they don't think about what they're going to do, or I could say that the younger people don't want to work a job, but that's a whole nother conversation. That's a whole nother conversation because there's so much layers to that too. There's so much nuance to that. Why did they think it was okay to work a 9 to 5 for all those years? And why did they perceive that to be strong? Why is it strength to lock into something that you don't really like? You feel what I'm saying? I get it. You got to do what you got to do. But at the end of the day, if that's not what you enjoy, and somebody's over here trying to make a lane, whether it's through social media, whether it's through passive income, whether it's through investing, whether they feel like their energy is being taken away from this specific job. You feel what I'm saying? How is this person weak? How is this person weak if they're trying to do something that requires more work? You feel what I'm saying? Now, don't get it twisted. You got some people that are super lazy and they don't want to do either one, so they might You know what I'm saying? They might quit their job, and then they might just sit around and wish their dreams just come to them. But if you got people that's literally trying to separate from, all right, I don't want to do this no more because this is what they did for all those years. Yet the older generation perceives that to be strength. Oh, I went to that job and I worked it and I thugged it out. You might be strong in the element of delusion. Ironically, they'll call, a lot of the older generation will call the younger generation delusional for chasing their dreams and doing what they want to do. But if you really look at it, who's really delusional? If you're doing something that I get it, you gotta do what you gotta do, but there is an avenue, unless you have like a billion kids and you gotta take care of them and you have no choice. But a lot of these young people, there is I watch a lot of Gary Vee. He always talks about like, don't buy that fat whip, don't buy that super nice car to flex on nobody, all the way up until even your mid-30s, your early 20s, your mid-20s, your late 20s, and your 30s. Don't buy that fat whip. Don't finance this and this and this, X, Y, and Z, because you're taking away your precious years trying to pay off a car to show off for who. You should be trying to do certain things that you want to do. That's going to be harder to do because we run within a system, or if you want to call it a matrix, like everybody's calling it. You feel what I'm saying? So like, come on, man. We gotta really think about what we say when the older generation says that the younger generation is weak. Us trying to do something outside of the norm is not weak. And I don't say us to mean young people, you feel what I'm saying? I'm talking about people in general. Because nowadays, with social media, you have people in teens, 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s now that's trying to do things. So let's not judge people because they want to do something different, regardless of their age. You know what I'm saying? It's the younger generation is probably misunderstood. Another element that people in general, not only the older generation, need to understand is that when we step into a new era and in a new life, people are going to try different things, and that's how we make change in order for the next generation to learn. If we were just to step into what our parents did, what would the point of things moving forward? What would the point of learning? You know what I'm saying? Imagine if Michael Jordan, talking about Malcolm X and Martin Luther King. Like, imagine Martin Luther King said, "I had a dream that all black boys that X, Y, and Z," and then everybody was like, "Man, forget his dream, dog." And then we still segregated in 2025. we still got problems, but come on, dog. We gotta move forward. And I feel like a lot of times the older generation don't want to let go. And I'm hoping that our generation recognizes that and don't be like that. Like, to be honest, we talk a lot of trash. Not me, but like just in general on Gen Z. Come on, dog. We gotta get them some grace, because like a lot of us millennials, we were brainwashed into believing go to college and X, Y, and Z. You feel what I'm saying? So we gotta recognize the fact that their generation, they don't have no brainwashing. So we had at least a foundation within our brainwashing. They just got a bunch of information, TikTok overload, brain rot. The older generation was lying to them. Millennials was lost. They don't have no foundation. They kind of, the energy that was put out to the younger generation, Gen Z and below, is kind of like nothing. You feel what I'm saying? It's nothing. Like we at least got brainwashed and had a sense of direction. Imagine if you a young person and you go online and people talking about don't listen to your teachers, or teachers don't know what they're talking about. You got some teachers sleeping with the kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then everybody just seemed lost, and then we're in the midst of a time where so many things are being exposed to be lies. Like, our foundation was the lies, so we had some form of direction as millennials and as old, you know what I'm saying? But when you go down to like the younger generation, it's like, I feel bad for Gen Z, so we gotta give them some grace and let them rock out, figure out their avenue. You feel what I'm saying? But yeah, I just wanted to speak on that because I know a lot of people be like, oh yeah, a lot of the older generation be like, the younger generation is so soft. And it's like, bro, y'all were lost. And then the next generation was even more lost and lied to, and the next generation was even more lost and lied to. If anything, Gen Z, if they could turn this around, or the generation under Gen Z, if they could turn this around, then they might be better off because they didn't their foundation isn't lies. So once they get a grasp of whatever this BS is going on with the society, maybe they'll be better off because they don't have to kind of like heal, or they don't have to bounce back from the lies. Because having, like, think about it, if you were taught to be a certain way, which is wrong, and then you got to teach yourself another way while healing from the old way, it's hard to do that. But if you don't have a foundation at all, and all you have to do is create excuse me, all you have to do is create a foundation for yourself, I feel like that's a little easier versus having a foundation that was a lie. You got to unlearn that while healing, while creating a new foundation. I'm getting sick, y'all. That's a lot. That's a lot. So shout out to every generation, the older generation. They did their best, you know. Millennials, they got brainwashed and lied to. Younger generation, y'all lost in the sauce because there's no foundation, but y'all gonna find a way. Every generation has its own issues. Every generation has a problem with the next generation for some magical reason, but everybody just playing their role, playing their part, trying to live their life and move forward. But like I always say, everybody gonna do it their own way. You already know my slogan. It's your boy Josh Different. I'm different, you different, we different. I'm out.